Admiral Jack Morrison stood at the large window of the New Geneva space station and watched the alien ships arrive. The Zephyrian vessels looked like giant metal insects floating through space. Their dark hulls reflected the light from the nearby star. Morrison had seen these ships before during the war 3 years ago. Back then they had brought death and destruction to human worlds. Today they came for a peace ceremony. Morrison was 55 years old with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. He wore his best blue uniform with all his medals. The other humans in the room thought he looked calm and ready for the meeting. They could not see the anger burning inside him. He remembered the day the Zephyrians had destroyed Mars' colony. He remembered watching good soldiers die in battles they could not win. The aliens thought humans had given up. They were wrong. Commander Lisa Brooks walked up beside him. She was younger than Morrison with short brown hair and sharp green eyes. She had been his intelligence chief for 2 years. Brooks looked at the alien ships and shook her head slowly. "They brought 12 warships," she said quietly. "For a peace ceremony." Morrison smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "They want to remind us who won the war. Do they know?" Brooks asked. Morrison looked at her. "No, they still think we are broken and weak. They see what we want them to see." The door to the main hall opened, and other human officials walked in. President Helen Carter arrived first. She was a tall woman with blonde hair who had been elected after the war ended. The people had chosen her because she promised to rebuild Earth and the colonies. What they did not know was that she had also promised Morrison something else. She had promised him revenge. General Robert Hayes came next. He was a big man with a thick beard who had commanded ground forces during the war. Behind him walked Dr. Peter Chang, the head of human weapons research. Chang looked nervous. He kept checking his watch and adjusting his glasses. Morrison knew why Chang was worried. The doctor had been working on secret projects for 3 years. Projects the aliens must never discover. "Are we ready?" President Carter asked. Morrison nodded. "The ceremony will begin in 1 hour. High Commander Vexhai will speak first. Then we sign the treaty renewal." "And after that?" Hayes asked. "After that we wait," Morrison said. "Just like we have been waiting for 3 years." The humans took their seats around a large metal table. The room was designed to look formal and important. Flags from Earth and the colonies hung on the walls. But Morrison knew this was all for show. The real business would happen later when the aliens left and could not listen. The doors opened again, and the Zephyrian delegation entered. High Commander Vexhai led them. He was 7 feet tall with 4 arms and skin that looked like brown leather. His eyes were large and black like a beetle. 2 smaller Zephyrians followed him. They wore armor that gleamed under the station lights. Vexhai looked around the room at the humans. Morrison could see the aliens' contempt. To Vexhai, humans were nothing more than a defeated species that had learned to obey. The alien commander sat down across from Morrison. His translator device made electronic sounds as he prepared to speak. "Humans of Earth," Vexhai said in his clicking voice. "We gather today to renew the peace that has blessed both our species for 3 years. Your people have shown wisdom in accepting the new order of this galaxy." Morrison listened without changing his expression. Inside he wanted to reach across the table and strangle the alien. Instead he nodded politely. "The Zephyrian Collective is pleased with human compliance," Vexhai continued. "Your worlds have paid their tribute on time. Your ships have stayed within approved boundaries. You have caused no trouble for our forces." President Carter leaned forward. "We believe in honoring our agreements, High Commander." Vexhai made a sound that humans had learned was alien laughter. "Yes, you have learned that resistance brings only pain. The destruction of your Mars colony taught you this lesson well." Brooks shifted in her seat. Morrison touched her arm gently to calm her. He knew she was thinking of her brother who had died defending Mars Colony. They all had lost someone during the war. "The treaty has served both our peoples," Morrison said carefully. "Earth has had time to rebuild. Our colonies are peaceful again." "Peaceful and weak," Vexai said. "Your military is a shadow of what it once was. You have perhaps 50 warships remaining. Barely enough to patrol your own space." Morrison nodded, as if agreeing. The truth was very different. Hidden in asteroid fields and nebulas throughout human space, over 300 new warships waited for his signal. The aliens counted only the ships they were allowed to see. Dr. Chang spoke up. "Our research has focused on civilian technology. Medical advances, agricultural improvements, communication systems." This was partly true. Chang had made advances in those areas. But his real work involved weapons that could punch through Zephyrian, armor and shields that could stop alien plasma fire. The aliens had no idea what human scientists had accomplished in secret. "Wise," Vexai said. "Military technology would be wasted on a species that has accepted its place in the galaxy." General Hayes clenched his fists under the table. "Morrison." New Hayes commanded over 500,000 soldiers training on hidden bases. These troops used captured alien weapons and wore improved armor. They were ready to fight a war the aliens did not know was coming. "Shall we proceed with the ceremony?" President Carter asked. Vexai gestured with one of his forearms. A smaller alien brought forward the treaty documents. The papers were written in both human English and the Zephyrian language. Morrison had read every word many times. The treaty promised human submission in exchange for peace. It limited human military forces and required tribute payments to the Zephyrian Collective. Most importantly, it gave aliens the right to monitor human space and ensure compliance. What the treaty did not mention was human ingenuity. It did not account for humanity's ability to hide, adapt, and prepare. The aliens had won the war through superior technology and numbers, but they had made one crucial mistake. They had let humans survive. President Carter picked up a pen and signed her name. General Hayes signed next, then Dr. Chang. Finally, Morrison took the pen. As he wrote his signature, he thought about Captain Ryan Davis building ships in hidden asteroid bases. He thought about Colonel Amy Martinez training pilots to fly those ships. He thought about thousands of humans across the galaxy who worked in secret to prepare for this moment. Morrison finished signing and set down the pen. High Commander Vexai made his laughing sound again. "Excellent," the alien said. "This treaty will ensure peace between our species for generations to come." Morrison looked directly into Vexai's black eyes. "I'm sure it will be remembered for a very long time." The Zephyrian commander did not notice the cold tone in Morrison's voice. He was too busy enjoying what he thought was human defeat. Vexai stood up and his guards moved beside him. "We will monitor your compliance as always," Vexai said. "Our ships patrol your space to ensure you honor this agreement." "Of course," Morrison replied. "We wouldn't want any misunderstandings." After the aliens left, the humans sat quietly for several minutes. Finally, President Carter spoke. "How much longer?" she asked. Morrison checked his watch. "The fleet moves in 72 hours. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon we have built in secret will strike at the same time." Brooks smiled. "They have no idea what's coming." 3 years, Hayes said. 3 long years of pretending to be defeated. Morrison stood up and walked back to the window. The alien ships were moving away from the station. Soon they would return to their bases throughout human space. They would report that humans remained weak and obedient. They would recommend reducing patrols and sending more ships to fight other species in distant parts of the galaxy. "The hardest part is over," Morrison said. "Tomorrow we stop pretending." Dr. Chang gathered his papers. "The new weapons are ready. The ships are fueled and armed. Our people know their targets. Morrison nodded. In 3 days, the galaxy would learn that humans had never accepted defeat. They had simply been preparing for round 2. Captain Ryan Davis floated in zero gravity as he watched the newest warship take shape before his eyes. The vessel was 3 times larger than anything humans had built before the war. Its hull gleamed silver under the construction lights. Workers in spacesuits moved around it like tiny ants, welding armor plates and installing weapon systems. This was humanity's best-kept secret. The asteroid field called Tango 7 looked empty from the outside. Alien patrol ships had passed through it dozens of times in the past 3 years. They saw only floating rocks and empty space. They never looked close enough to find the hidden shipyard buried deep inside the largest asteroid. That was exactly what Ryan wanted. "How many ships do we have ready?" asked Chief Engineer Kate Sullivan as she joined Ryan at the observation window. She was a short woman with red hair who had worked without sleep for the past week. Her coveralls were stained with grease and her hands were rough from handling tools. Ryan checked his tablet. 43 destroyers, 18 cruisers, and 7 battleships, all completed and tested. Another 20 ships will be finished by tomorrow. Kate smiled with satisfaction. The aliens think we have 50 ships total in all of human space. We have more than that right here in this one facility. What about the other yards? Ryan asked. Captain Stone reports 32 ships ready at the Kepler facility. Captain Blake has 28 ships completed in the Vega system. Commander Wood's people finished 16 ships in the asteroid belt near Mars. Kate pulled up numbers on her own tablet. Total count across all hidden facilities is 297 ships ready for combat. Ryan felt pride swell in his chest. 3 years ago, the human fleet had been almost completely destroyed. The aliens had counted the few surviving ships and decided humans were no longer a threat. They had made a big mistake. The shipyard stretched for miles inside the hollowed-out asteroid. Dozens of ships in various stages of construction filled the massive space. Some were just metal frameworks. Others were nearly complete and ready for their final tests. The largest ship in the yard was a new class of battleship that Ryan had helped design. It was twice the size of the old Earth battleships and carried weapons that could destroy an alien cruiser with a single shot. "Dr. Chang wants to see you." "In the weapons lab," Kate said. "He has something new to show you." Ryan pushed off from the wall and floated toward the elevator that would take him deeper into the asteroid. The weapons laboratory was located in the most secure part of the facility. Only people with the highest clearance could enter. Even the construction workers who built the ships were not allowed to see what Dr. Chang was creating. The lab was a large white room filled with computers and testing equipment. Dr. Peter Chang stood at a workbench examining a device that looked like a metal tube. He was a thin man with black hair and thick glasses who rarely smiled. But today he looked pleased with his work. "Ryan, perfect timing," Dr. Chang said without looking up. "I want you to see what we have accomplished." "What is it?" Ryan asked as he approached the workbench. "This is a Mark 7 plasma cannon. It uses technology we captured from destroyed alien ships, but we have made it better." Dr. Chang held up the device carefully. "Alien plasma weapons are powerful, but they overheat quickly. Our version can fire continuously for twice as long." Ryan examined the weapon. It was smaller than the alien versions he had seen during the war. "How is it more powerful if it's smaller?" "Human engineering," Dr. Chang said with pride. "The aliens build their weapons to be perfect. Every part is precisely crafted and cannot be changed. We build our weapons to be practical. If one part breaks, we can replace it with something else. If we need more power, we can modify the design." Dr. Chang led Ryan to another workbench where a larger device was mounted. "This is our new shield generator. Alien shields are strong, but they use enormous of power. Our shields are weaker, but they use much less energy. A human ship can keep its shields running 3 times longer than an alien ship. What about armor? Ryan asked. Follow me, Dr. Chang said. They walked to a testing area where a piece of metal was mounted on a stand. Dr. Chang picked up a small alien weapon and fired it at the metal. The plasma bolt hit the armor and bounced off harmlessly. Standard human armor would be melted by that shot, Dr. Chang explained. This new armor is made from materials we found in the asteroids here. It is lighter than steel, but stronger than anything we had before the war. Ryan touched the armor plate. It felt warm where the plasma had hit it, but there was no damage. How many ships have this armor? All of them, Dr. Chang said. Every ship built in the hidden yards has the new armor, new weapons, and new shields. The aliens are in for a surprise. They returned to the main lab where other scientists were, working on different projects. Ryan saw people testing new communication systems, improved engines, and better life support equipment. Everything was designed to give human ships an advantage over alien technology. The aliens think they are superior because their individual ships are more powerful, Dr. Chang said. But they never learn to mass-produce anything. It takes them 6 months to build 1 cruiser. We can build 3 cruisers in the same time using simpler methods and cheaper materials. Ryan understood the strategy. Humans could not match alien technology ship for ship, but they could build more ships faster and repair them more easily. In a long war, numbers and logistics mattered more than individual superiority. What about training? Ryan asked. Do we have enough experienced crews for all these ships? Dr. Chang led him to a computer terminal. Colonel Martinez has been running training programs on 12 different worlds. We have over 15,000 pilots and crew members ready for combat. Many of them are veterans from the First War. The computer showed training records for pilots throughout human space. Men and women who had worked as merchants, miners, and farmers for the past 3 years. The aliens saw them as harmless civilians. In reality, they were military personnel maintaining their skills while pretending to be ordinary citizens. Colonel Amy Martinez appeared on the communication screen. She was broadcasting from a training facility hidden beneath the surface of a moon in the outer system. Behind her, Ryan could see young pilots practicing in flight simulators. Captain Davis, Martinez said, good to see you. How are the ships? Coming along? We'll have your pilots flying real missions very soon, Ryan replied. Are they ready? Ready and eager, Martinez said. Lieutenant Foster just set a new record in the Advanced Combat Course. Pilot Lopez has mastered the new weapon. Systems faster than anyone I've ever seen. These kids are hungry for payback. Ryan could see the determination in the colonel's eyes. She had lost friends during the war, just like everyone else. The 3 years of hiding and preparing had been hard on all of them. But it had also given them time to plan and train properly. What about the older pilots? Ryan asked. Even better, Martinez said. Captain Stone has been working with veteran crews who flew in the war. They know alien tactics and they know how to survive in combat. Combined with the new ships and weapons, they'll be devastating. The communication ended and Ryan turned back to Dr. Chang. When do we move? Admiral Morrison gives the signal in 60 hours, Dr. Chang said. Every ship, every crew, every weapon will be ready. Ryan looked around the lab at all the people working to prepare for the coming battle. Engineers tested equipment, technicians loaded weapons, and mechanics performed final checks on ship systems. They all knew that humanity's future depended on the success of their secret preparations. Doc Kate Sullivan joined them again, her tablet showing updated construction numbers. Final count is 312 ships ready for combat across all facilities. Every ship has full crew, full fuel, and full ammunition. The aliens count 50 human ships in all of space, Ryan said. Tomorrow they'll discover we actually have over 300 ships, and every one of them is better than what we had before. Dr. Chang removed his glasses and cleaned them carefully. 3 years ago, we lost the war because we were not prepared. This time we have been preparing since the day we signed the treaty. This time we will win. Ryan nodded and looked out at the hidden fleet one more time. Soon these ships would leave their hiding places and show the galaxy that humanity had never truly surrendered. The aliens had made a fatal mistake when they allowed humans to survive. Tomorrow they would learn the price of that mistake. Sub-Commander Zeke relaxed in his command chair aboard the patrol ship, Dominant Claw. Through the bridge windows he could see the blue and green planet Earth rotating slowly below. The human homeworld looked peaceful and quiet. No military ships moved in orbit. No weapons platforms defended the planet. The humans had learned their place in the galaxy. Zeke was younger than most Zephyrian commanders. His brown chitin armor was polished to a bright shine, and his forearms moved with practiced efficiency as he reviewed daily reports. He had been promoted after the war ended, because older commanders were needed to fight other species in distant sectors. Zeke did not mind. Guarding defeated humans was easy work. "Sir, we have completed our patrol of the Mars system," reported Navigation Officer Vekmer from his station. No unusual activity detected. Human mining operations continue at normal levels. "Good," Zeke said without looking up from his reports. The humans know better than to cause trouble. They remember what happened to their Mars colony. The bridge crew made clicking sounds of agreement. They all remembered the great victory 3 years ago when Zephyrian ships had destroyed the human military base on Mars. Over 50,000 humans had died in that battle. It had been the turning point of the war. After Mars fell, human resistance had collapsed quickly. Zeke pulled up intelligence reports on his screen. Human ship construction was proceeding slowly. They were building mostly cargo vessels and passenger ships. Nothing that could threaten Zephyrian forces. Human military strength was estimated at 47 combat ships total. Most of those were old destroyers barely capable of fighting pirates. "Sir, message from command," announced Communications Officer Zedhai. "High Command wants an update on human compliance levels." Zeki activated his personal communicator. The image of Fleet Commander Vexter appeared on the screen. Vexter was an older Zephyrian with scars from many battles. He commanded all forces in human space from his flagship in the Alpha Centauri system. "Sub-Commander report," Vexter said in his deep voice. "Human compliance remains at acceptable levels, sir," Zeke replied. "No incidents in the past month. Tribute payments have arrived on schedule. Military activity is minimal." "What about the increased mining operations we detected last week?" Zeki checked his files. "Asteroid mining in the outer systems has increased by 12%. Our analysis indicates the humans are trying to rebuild their economy after the war. They are extracting raw materials to construct civilian infrastructure. No military construction?" "None detected, sir. The humans appear to be focusing on rebuilding cities and trade routes. They have launched several new cargo ships, but no warships." Vexter nodded approvingly. "Good. High Command is pleased with the situation in human space. We are reassigning 2 battle groups to support operations against the Alterian Republic. Maintaining order among broken humans does not require our best ships." Zeke felt a moment of concern. "Sir, should we not maintain full strength in case the humans attempt something foolish?" "Impossible," Vexter said with confidence. "The humans learned their lesson. They know they cannot win against Zephyrian technology. Their leaders are too smart to risk another war they cannot win." The communication ended and Zeke returned to his reports. He supposed Vexter was right. The humans had never shown signs of rebuilding their military. Their leaders spoke constantly about peace and cooperation. President Carter had given many speeches about human commitment to the treaty. Even their military leaders like Admiral Morrison seemed resigned to their defeat. On the surface of Earth, Commander Rachel Wood walked through the busy streets of New London. She wore the gray uniform of a Zephyrian administrator. To the aliens, she was a helpful human who managed civilian affairs in the occupied territories. She filed reports, organized supply deliveries, and ensured human compliance with alien regulations. The Zephyrians trusted her completely. What they did not know was that Rachel had been a military intelligence officer before the war. She had volunteered for this undercover assignment 3 years ago. Every report she filed was carefully crafted to show the aliens exactly what they wanted to see. Every piece of information she provided was designed to make the Zephyrians feel secure and confident. Rachel entered a coffee shop and sat down at a corner table. A few minutes later, Carl Roberts joined her. Carl was a thin man with gray hair who worked as a civilian coordinator for the reconstruction effort. At least that was what his official job title said. In reality, Carl led the resistance network throughout the occupied territories. "How did the meeting go?" Carl asked quietly. "Perfectly," Rachel replied. "The Zephyrians are reducing their patrol schedules again. They are moving more ships to fight the Alterians. They think human space is completely secure." Carl smiled. "How many ships are they moving?" "2 full battle groups. That's 36 heavy cruisers and over 100 escort ships. They're leaving minimal forces to watch us." "Excellent. What about the supply shipments?" Rachel pulled out her tablet and showed Carl the shipping schedules. "Medical supplies, construction materials, and food shipments are all on schedule. The aliens see increased cargo traffic as proof that we are rebuilding civilian infrastructure." Carl nodded. He knew the truth about those cargo shipments. Hidden among the medical supplies were weapons and ammunition. The construction materials included components for military equipment. The food shipments contained communications gear and explosives. For 3 years, the resistance had been smuggling military supplies throughout human space under the noses of the alien occupation forces. "What about the communication intercepts?" Carl asked. "Intelligence Officer Veximer reviewed our network traffic last week," Rachel said. "He concluded that increased communications represent civilian coordination efforts. He has no idea that we are actually coordinating military operations." Carl finished his coffee and prepared to leave. "The signal comes in 48 hours. Make sure your people are ready." Rachel nodded. Every resistance cell in this sector knows their targets. When Admiral Morrison gives the word, we will strike simultaneously at every Zephyrian facility. After Carl left, Rachel returned to her office in the Zephyrian Administration Building. Her alien supervisor, Sub-Commander Kika, was reviewing supply reports when she entered. "Ah, Commander Wood," Kikai said in his clicking voice. "I need you to prepare a report on human industrial capacity. High Command wants to know how quickly the humans can increase raw material production." Rachel sat down at her desk. "Of course, sir. Are you planning to increase tribute requirements?" "Possibly. The war against the Alterians is expensive. We may need additional resources from human space." Rachel nodded and began typing her report. She wrote about human mining operations, factory production, and shipping capacity. Everything she wrote was technically true, but she carefully omitted the most important facts. She did not mention that many of the new factories were secretly producing weapons. She did not report that mining operations were extracting materials for military construction. She did not reveal that the shipping network was being used to move soldiers and equipment. "The humans seem very cooperative," Kikai observed as he read her preliminary report. "They understand the benefits of peace," Rachel replied. "The war cost them dearly. They do not want to repeat that experience." "Wise," of them. The Zephyrian Collective is generous to species that accept their proper place in the galaxy. Rachel forced herself to smile. The human government is grateful for Zephyrian guidance. Meanwhile, in the Zephyrian Intelligence Center on Luna, Analyst Veximer was reviewing the latest reports from across human space. He had been monitoring human activities for 2 years and had developed a clear picture of human capabilities and intentions. According to his analysis, humans were slowly rebuilding their civilization after the devastating war. They were constructing new cities, establishing trade routes, and developing natural resources. Their military remained weak and disorganized. Their leaders spoke constantly about maintaining peace and avoiding conflict. Veximer filed his weekly report to High Command. Human military threat level remains minimal, he wrote. Estimated time for humans to develop significant military capability, 15 to 20 years minimum. Recommend continued reduction of occupation forces to support operations in other sectors. His report was read by commanders throughout the Zephyrian fleet. They all agreed with his assessment. Humans were a broken species that had learned to accept defeat. They posed no immediate threat to Zephyrian interests. What none of them realized was that humans had been carefully managing their perceptions for 3 years. Every piece of information the aliens received had been filtered through human intelligence networks. Every observation had been influenced by human deception operations. The Zephyrians saw exactly what humans wanted them to see, in his private quarters aboard the Dominant Claw. Sub-Commander Zeka reviewed the latest intelligence summaries. Human compliance levels were excellent. Military activity was almost non-existent. Economic reconstruction was proceeding slowly but steadily. There were no signs of resistance or rebellion. Zeka felt satisfied with his assignment. Guarding defeated humans was indeed easy work. The species had learned their lesson and accepted their place in the galaxy. Captain Eric Stone was running a routine patrol when everything changed. His destroyer USS Liberty moved slowly through the asteroid field near Jupiter, scanning for illegal mining operations. It was boring work that he had done hundreds of times before. The Zephyrians required regular patrols to make sure humans were not hiding anything in the outer system. Stone was a tall man with brown hair and calm eyes who had commanded the Liberty for 2 years. Before the war, he had been a cargo ship captain. After the defeat, he had joined what remained of the human fleet. The aliens allowed humans to keep a few patrol ships to police their own space. Stone pretended to be grateful for this opportunity. "Captain, I'm getting some unusual readings from Asteroid Cluster 77 Alpha," reported Sensor Officer Tim Blake from his station. Blake was young and nervous, always worried about making mistakes. "There's some kind of metal structure hidden inside the largest asteroid." Stone felt his heart skip a beat. Cluster 77 Alpha was supposed to be empty space with a few worthless rocks, but Stone knew better. Hidden inside that cluster was one of humanity's secret shipyards. If the Zephyrians discovered it, the entire plan would be ruined. "Are you sure about those readings?" Stone asked, trying to keep his voice calm. "Yes, sir. I'm detecting processed metals, power sources, and what looks like ship hulls. There's definitely something big hidden in there." Stone walked over to the sensor station and looked at the displays. The readings were clear and undeniable. Someone with better equipment than the Liberty would easily spot the hidden base. Stone made a decision that would change everything. "Battle stations," he ordered quietly. His crew looked confused. They were on a peaceful patrol mission. There was no enemy in sight. But they followed orders and moved to their combat positions. Stone activated the ship's weapon systems and targeted the asteroid cluster. "Sir, what are you doing?" Blake asked nervously. "Saving humanity," Stone replied. The Liberty opened fire with all weapons. Plasma bolts and missiles struck the asteroids and exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Stone kept firing until the cluster was completely destroyed. Any evidence of the hidden shipyard was now scattered debris floating in space. "Sir, I'm detecting the Zephyrian patrol ship approaching fast," Blake reported. "They must have seen our weapon fire." Stone checked his instruments. The alien ship was still 20 minutes away. That gave him enough time to send a coded message to Admiral Morrison. Stone activated the emergency communication system and broadcast a single word, Lazarus. That word would signal every human commander that their secret had been discovered. It would begin the final phase of humanity's plan for revenge. Stone felt satisfied knowing that his sacrifice would not be in vain. The Zephyrian patrol ship. Dark Talon arrived to find the Liberty floating among asteroid debris. Captain Stone and his crew were dead, killed when their own weapons overloaded and destroyed their ship. At least that was what the alien investigators concluded. They never suspected that Stone had deliberately triggered the overload to prevent capture and interrogation. Sub-Commander Zekai read the incident report with growing concern. A human patrol ship had apparently suffered a weapons malfunction and been destroyed. But why had the ship been firing its weapons in the first place? And what had been hidden in those asteroids? Admiral Jack Morrison received the Lazarus signal while he was still aboard New Geneva Station. The message came through encrypted communication channels that the aliens did not know existed. Morrison immediately understood what it meant. Captain Stone had discovered something that threatened the mission. The secret was compromised. Morrison activated his personal communicator and sent coded messages to every human fleet commander. The messages contained only a few words, but they carried enormous weight. Protocol Lazarus is now active. Execute immediately. Throughout human space, resistance leaders received the signal and began moving. On Earth, Carl Roberts gathered his team of saboteurs and headed for the Zephyrian Communication Center. On Mars, Colonel Martinez led her assault troops toward the alien command post. On dozens of worlds, human fighters emerged from hiding to strike at their oppressors. Commander Lisa Brooks was eating dinner with other human delegates when her communicator buzzed. She glanced at the message and felt her pulse quicken. 3 years of waiting and planning were about to pay off. She excused herself from the table and walked toward the station's control center. High Commander Vex High was reviewing patrol reports when alarms began sounding throughout New Geneva Station. His communication officer was receiving confused reports from commanders across human space. Human forces were attacking Zephyrian installations simultaneously on dozens of worlds. "This is impossible," Vex High said as he read the reports. "The humans have no military capability. Our intelligence confirms they have fewer than 50 ships total." "Sir, I'm receiving a priority message from Fleet Commander Vexter," the communication officer reported. "He says human forces are attacking the Alpha Centauri base with over 30 warships. He is requesting immediate reinforcements." Vex High felt confusion turn to fear. 30 human warships? Where had they come from? According to all intelligence reports, humans barely had 30 ships in their entire fleet. How could they be attacking with that many ships in just one location? More reports flooded in. Human forces were striking Zephyrian bases throughout the former human territories. The attacks were coordinated and simultaneous. This was not a spontaneous rebellion. This was a carefully planned military operation that had been prepared for months or years. Commander Brooks reached the station's communication center and found 2 Zephyrian technicians working at their stations. She drew her concealed weapon and quickly eliminated them both. Within minutes, other human operatives joined her. They had been planning this moment for 3 years. "Shut down all communications to Zephyrian forces," Brooks ordered. "I want every alien ship in this sector cut off from their command structure." Her team went to work disabling communication equipment and computer systems. Soon the Zephyrian forces would be fighting blind, unable to coordinate their response to the human uprising. In the Kepler Nebula, Captain Susan Blake received Morrison's signal and smiled grimly. She had been waiting in the hidden fleet base for over a year, drilling her crews and maintaining her ships. Now it was time to fight. "All ships, this is Captain Blake," she announced over the fleet communication system. "Execute Operation Homecoming. Immediately, target the Zephyrian patrol base at Kepler 4. Show them what happens when you underestimate humanity." Blake's squadron of 24 destroyers moved out of the nebula like wolves emerging from fog. Their hulls were painted with the symbols of the reformed Solar Navy. Their weapons were charged and ready for battle. Behind them, Admiral Morrison's main battle fleet was also moving. Over 200 warships that officially did not exist at Kepler 4. Sub-Commander HFY was enjoying a quiet shift when his sensors detected multiple contacts approaching fast. At first he thought it was a sensor malfunction. Then he realized he was looking at the largest human fleet he had ever seen. "Impossible," HFY whispered. "Where did they get so many ships?" His base had 12 ships available for defense. The approaching human fleet had more than 20 ships in the first wave alone. HFY sent a desperate message requesting reinforcements, but no reply came. The communication systems had been sabotaged. The human ships opened fire before HFY could organize his defense. The new human weapons were more powerful than anything the Zephyrians had faced before. Alien ships that had seemed invincible during the war were now being destroyed by improved human technology. High Commander Vex High watched his command center fill with reports of human attacks. Every major Zephyrian installation in human space was under assault. Worse, the humans seemed to have ships and weapons that did not appear in any intelligence report. "Sir, I'm detecting a massive human fleet approaching this station," his sensor officer reported with fear in his voice. "Over 50 ships, including several vessels larger than anything in our database." Vex High looked at the tactical display and felt his world collapse. The approaching fleet was led by Admiral Morrison himself. These were not the broken remnants of a defeated military. These were brand new warships with advanced weapons and full crews. The humans had been building this fleet for years while pretending to be helpless. How? Vex High asked nobody in particular. How did they hide all of this from us? Commander Brooks entered the command center with a squad of armed humans. She was no longer pretending to be a diplomatic officer. Now she wore the uniform of human military intelligence and carried weapons designed to kill aliens. "Hello, High Commander," Brooks said with a cold smile. "I think we need to discuss the terms of your surrender." Vex High stared at her in shock. "This is impossible. You are defeated. You signed the treaty. You accepted your place in the galaxy." "We signed a piece of paper," Brooks replied, "but we never stopped being human. We never stopped preparing for this day. Did you really think we would just give up and let you rule over us forever?" Through the command center windows, Vex High could see human warships surrounding the station. They were sleek and powerful vessels that looked nothing like the old human ships from the war. Admiral Jack Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship Vengeance as human warships surrounded New Geneva Station. Through the massive windows he could see Zephyrian ships trying to form defensive positions. They were confused and scattered. Their communication systems had been sabotaged. Their commanders had no idea how to respond to an enemy they thought was defeated 3 years ago. Morrison was finally wearing his real uniform again. For 3 years he had pretended to be a broken old soldier serving a defeated government. Now he wore the stars of the Solar Navy and commanded the largest human fleet in history. Over 300 ships moved through space around him, their hulls gleaming with fresh paint and new weapons. "Sir, High Commander Vex High is requesting terms for surrender," reported Communication Officer Janet Hayes from her station. Hayes had served under Morrison during the original war and had volunteered to maintain her position during the years of deception. Like many others, she had pretended to be a civilian while secretly preparing for this moment. "Put him through," Morrison ordered. Vexhaya's image appeared on the main screen. The alien commander looked defeated and confused. His 4 arms hung limply at his sides, and his large black eyes showed fear that Morrison had never seen before. "Admiral." "Morrison," Vexhaya said in his clicking voice. "I do not understand how this is possible. Our intelligence reports showed that humanity was broken and weak." "Your intelligence was exactly what we wanted you to see," Morrison replied calmly. "We have been preparing for this day since we signed the original treaty. Every report your spies filed was crafted by our people. Every piece of information you received was designed to make you feel safe and confident." "But the treaty," Vexhaya protested. "You signed an agreement to maintain peace between our species." Morrison smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "We signed an agreement to stop fighting while we rebuilt our strength. The treaty never said we would remain weak forever. You assumed that because you wanted to believe it." Captain Susan Blake's voice came over the communication system from her position, leading the destroyer squadron. "Admiral, we have eliminated the Zephyrian patrol fleet at Kepler 4. 12 enemy ships destroyed, no survivors. Our losses are minimal." Morrison nodded with satisfaction. "Excellent work, Captain. Proceed to your next target." More reports flooded in from across human space. Captain Ryan Davis reported that his shipyard defense force had destroyed a Zephyrian battle group that tried to attack the Tango 7 facility. Colonel Amy Martinez confirmed that resistance forces had captured the alien command center on Mars. Dr. Peter Chang announced that the new weapons were performing beyond expectations. "This is impossible," Vexhaya repeated. "You cannot have built so many ships without our knowledge. We monitored every human world. We watched every construction facility." "You watched the facilities we wanted you to watch," Morrison explained. "While your spies counted cargo ships and civilian transports, we were building warships in hidden bases throughout the asteroid fields. While your analysts studied our mining operations, we were extracting materials to construct weapons and armor. While your commanders reduced their patrols because they thought we were harmless, we were training crews and planning this operation." Commander Lisa Brooks appeared beside Morrison on the bridge. She had changed from her diplomatic uniform into military combat gear. In her hands she carried a tablet showing real-time updates from the battle. "Sir, resistance cells have secured major Zephyrian installations on 23 worlds," Brooks reported. "Enemy forces are retreating from the outer colonies. Their fleet commanders are requesting reinforcements that no longer exist." Morrison turned back to Vexhaya. "High Commander, you have 2 choices. Surrender your remaining forces and accept prisoner status or continue fighting a war you cannot win. Choose quickly." Vexhaya looked around his command center. Human soldiers now controlled every station. His own crew had been disarmed and were being held under guard. Through the windows, he could see his escort ships being systematically destroyed by superior human forces. "How many ships do you really have?" Vexhaya asked. "More than enough," Morrison replied. "We learned from our defeat 3 years ago. We studied your tactics, reverse-engineered your technology, and built a fleet designed specifically to fight Zephyrian forces. Every ship in our fleet carries weapons that can penetrate your armor and shields that can deflect your plasma fire." General Robert Hayes appeared on another communication channel from his command post on Mars. Behind him, human soldiers were leading Zephyrian prisoners toward detention facilities. "Admiral, we have secured all major installations in the Mars system," Hayes reported. "Enemy ground forces surrendered after their orbital support was eliminated. Total Zephyrian casualties are over 8,000. Human losses are less than 300. Morrison felt grim satisfaction at those numbers. During the original war, humans had lost 10 soldiers for every Zephyrian they killed. Now the ratio was reversed. Better training, better equipment, and better planning had given humanity the advantage. "Sir, incoming transmission from Fleet Commander Vexter," Hayes announced. The image changed to show another Zephyrian commander. Vexter looked desperate and angry. His flagship was damaged and burning atmosphere into space. "Admiral Morrison, I demand that you cease this unprovoked attack immediately," Vexter said. "The Zephyrian Collective will not tolerate this violation of the peace treaty." Morrison laughed out loud. "Commander, you are in no position to make demands. Your fleet is scattered and defeated. Your bases are captured or destroyed. Your occupation force is surrendering on every world. The treaty is over. The Collective has other fleets," Vexter threatened. "When they learn of this treachery, they will send reinforcements to crush your rebellion." "Let them come," Morrison said confidently. "We will be ready for them too. Humanity has learned that the only peace an aggressive species understands is the peace of superior force." Captain Eric Stone's sacrifice had been worth it. His warning had allowed humanity to begin their uprising before the Zephyrians could discover the full extent of human preparations. Now alien forces throughout human space were being systematically eliminated by ships and soldiers they never knew existed. Dr. Peter Chang contacted Morrison from his research facility. "Admiral, preliminary battle analysis shows our new weapons are exceeding performance expectations by 15%. Enemy armor is proving less effective than our worst-case scenarios predicted." "What about their plasma weapons?" Morrison asked. "Our shields are holding perfectly," Chang replied with pride. "We can absorb their fire for extended periods while our weapons tear through their defenses. The technological advantage is now firmly on our side." President Helen Carter appeared on a separate communication channel from her office in the White House. Behind her, Morrison could see the flags of Earth and the reformed Solar Republic. "Admiral, I'm preparing to address the galaxy," Carter announced. "What should I tell them?" Morrison thought carefully before answering. "Tell them that humanity has reclaimed its independence. Tell them that we will defend ourselves against any aggressor. Tell them that the age of human weakness is over." Carter nodded. "And the Zephyrians?" "Tell them they can choose between peace and war, but this time, peace will be on our terms." Vex High had been listening to all the communications. Finally, he understood the scope of human planning and determination. The species he had considered primitive and easily defeated had outmaneuvered the entire Zephyrian occupation force. "You planned this from the beginning," Vex High said quietly. "From the moment we signed the treaty," Morrison confirmed. "We knew you would never honor a fair agreement. Your species only respects strength. So we gave you the illusion of victory, while we built the strength to defeat you." "But the treaty was supposed to bring peace," Vex High protested. "It did bring peace," Morrison replied. 3 years of peace that allowed us to prepare for this moment. Now we will have a different kind of peace, the kind enforced by human warships." Brooke showed Morrison her tablet with final battle reports. "Sir, all major Zephyrian installations in human space have been captured or destroyed. Enemy fleet strength is reduced by 87%. Remaining forces are requesting terms for surrender." Morrison nodded and addressed Vex High one final time. "High Commander, this is your last chance. Surrender now, and your surviving crews will be treated according to the laws of war. Continue fighting, and we will destroy every Zephyrian ship in human space." Vex High looked at his ruined command center and the human soldiers surrounding him. He thought about his scattered fleet and his defeated ground forces. He realized that continuing to fight would only result in more Zephyrian deaths. "I surrender," Vex High said quietly. "On behalf of all Zephyrian forces in human space, I surrender unconditionally." Morrison felt a weight lift from his shoulders. 3 years of planning and preparation had led to this moment. Humanity was free again, and this time they would remain free. "Commander Brooks, take the High Commander into custody," Morrison ordered. Treat him with respect, but make sure he understands that his war is over." As Brooks led Vex High away, Morrison turned to address his fleet. "All ships. This is Admiral Morrison. The first phase of our liberation is complete.